Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Big Ten game up next. We got Michigan State, Maryland. Yeah, Sparty versus the Terps. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
All right, like I said, Michigan State's on the road here in Maryland. Terps are laying 9 points at home, or 8.5. Oh, actually, or 9.5, it looks like now. Total sitting at 43.5, 44, depending on your sports books. So let's go ahead and get started with this one. We'll start by taking a look at last year's matchup. Maryland went on the road, beat up on Sparty pretty bad. 31-9 was the final score. That was in week 3 or 4 of last year. Now, we already know what the story is with this Michigan State offense. We talked about it 4 or 5 times on the show already. It was terrible last year. Their offensive line was pretty bad last year, and they got gutted. They lost 4 starters, I believe it was. So they bring in Aiden Childs, the quarterback, to be the savior. We knew going in that Michigan State was going to build their offense around this kid. It was going to be a rebuild, and it certainly looked like it in the opener. Aiden Childs, just 114 passing yards, 2 picks, 4.8 yards per pass attempt. But it wasn't all bad for Michigan State in that opener. They did run for 179 yards, 4.8 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. The transfer they brought in from UMass, Lynch Adams, he looked really good. 101 yards and a touchdown, 11.2 yards per carry. Now, I know you might be thinking, Kyle, who cares? They played FAU. But actually, Florida Atlantic might have a really good run defense, at least by American Athletic Conference standards. They had a solid run defense last year and brought back a ton of production. So the fact that Michigan State was able to run the ball and get production from the run game against FAU, it's definitely a good sign if you're a Michigan State fan. Because like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if FAU has a really nice-looking run defense this year. But here's the thing. Even so, even though I do believe FAU's run defense is respectable, on the road in Maryland's going to be a different story, because Maryland's run defense was pretty damn good last year. 12th in yards per carry allowed, 39th in effective rush, and they only got better because they brought back a ton of their defensive front. UConn wasn't able to do anything on the ground against this Terps defensive front. 30 carries, just 88 yards on the ground, 2.9 yards per carry. So even though we saw Sparty have some success running the ball last week, I don't have the same sort of confidence going into this one. I'm afraid Aiden Childs is going to be put in a place where he needs to try to play hero ball again. And what happened when he tried to do that last week? 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 140 yards and penalties. Just a really ugly game offensively for Michigan State. And that worries me a little, because these numbers look really close to what Maryland just did to UConn's offense last week. 3 forced turnovers, just 6.7 yards per pass attempt allowed, 2.9 yards per carry. Maryland put UConn's offense in a place where they needed to try to make plays, and it resulted in turnovers. So yeah, I'm a little worried about the turnovers. I'm a little worried about those repeating. Also, the fact that this game's in Maryland is a concern as well, because Michigan State had one of the worst road offenses in college football last year. Just 15.8 points per game, 0.006 offensive PPA, 4.22 yards per play. I mean, it was bad. This offense was bad on the road last year. They looked really bad against FAU last week at home. It's not a great sign, and especially because Maryland's defense should be pretty good this year. So on that side of the ball, it doesn't look good for Sparty. But now we switch it over to the other side, and if you're a Michigan State fan, this is the side of the ball you were excited about. Defense looked pretty good. Now, here are Maryland's offensive numbers from last year. Solid looking passing numbers, rushing numbers, not so much. I mean, that doesn't really matter because this offense looks completely different. Obviously, Billy Edwards is the quarterback now. And look, we can pull up Michigan State's defensive numbers from last year, and they look pretty terrible. They were especially bad against the pass. But again, these don't really matter either because this is a new unit. Michigan State's got some playmakers at linebacker. They did take some losses on the defensive line, but they brought a couple linebackers back that they like. They also brought in a couple good ones in the portal. So I like the linebackers here at Michigan State, and they made some plays last week. 2 forced turnovers, just 4.6 yards per pass attempt allowed, 2.8 yards per carry. Michigan State's defense looked really good last week. Now, granted, FAU's offense, not the strongest. Cam Fancher just transferred in. Really nothing to work with over there. So I'm not going to throw them a parade for shutting down FAU's offense. But no question, Michigan State's defense was impressive. And look, I think it's safe to say that Billy Edwards Jr. isn't going to do this to Michigan State. I mean, he absolutely cooked UConn. 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 195 passer rating. But we had said on the show, entering that Maryland-UConn game, that Connecticut's secondary was really questionable. It was basically entirely built through the transfer portal, and we were really hesitant about putting any faith in that. And for the first week of the season, they'd never played together before. So I'm not going to give him a ton of credit. I mean, no, I shouldn't say that. He deserves credit for this. He cooked, but I don't expect a performance like that against Michigan State. And you can say the same for the rushing yards as well. Here's Maryland's total offense numbers. I mean, they're insane looking. 629 yards, 248 on the ground, 381 through the air. No way are they going to do something like this on Michigan State. So I'm leaning towards an under here because I like the matchup for both defenses. And Michigan State, I mentioned how they were able to run on FAU and they might not have the same success on Maryland, but the rushing attack did look so good last week that I think we can count on it to move the chains here and there, which could help our under. I mean, you don't want somebody receiving the kick and punting from their own 20. You want them to run the ball and get 2 or 3 first downs, then punt. And I think that's exactly what Michigan State's built to do here. So I think the under's the play. I haven't bet it yet because I actually lost on the under in the Maryland-UConn game. Not because UConn put up points. All the points were scored on the Terps side. And I just doubt Michigan State's defense is going to get done up like that. So yeah, I think this one stays under the total at 43.5. Both teams should be running the ball. Billy Edwards Jr. is not going to go off like that. Especially after what we just saw in the opener, I think Michigan State's going to be a little more conservative with Childs, try to lean on that run game, and I don't think it's going to really be there. Maybe some slow grinding first downs, eating some clock. Should stay under 43.5. If you want to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on open bets. You can see all my bets as well as everyone on the staff here. So head over there if you're interested. Also, when you sign up for Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. $150 and the handicapping trophy go to the winner every single week. So if you're interested, head over to KyleKirms.com and sign up. Live shows, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday and Sunday. The Saturday morning and the Sunday morning shows are the big ones where we go through every single game. College football on Saturdays, obviously. NFL on Sundays. We're live all morning up until kickoff, going through every single game, props, all of that. It'll be fun. If you're into that, see you there. Love to see you in the comments. Let's have ourselves a nice week 2. Remember to bet responsibly. I'll talk to you in the Discord.